Welcome. Thank you for joining us to learn more about the 2024 ballot initiatives that will appear on our ballots in Washington. We are from Quaker Voice on Washington Public Policy. We're your Quaker state level legislative advocacy group. I'm Susan Cousins, and I'm the clerk of Quaker Voice, and I'm active with the Economic Justice Working Group.
I'm Virginia Lohr. I serve on the Environmental Stewardship Working Group of Quaker Voice.
I'm Renee Hansen. I'm clerk of that Environmental Stewardship Working Group.
Hi, friends. I'm Jacob Squirrel. I'm one of the legislative advocates for Quaker Voice, and I work primarily for the Environmental Stewardship Working Group. One concern that we have heard from meetings is that as religious organizations, you can't take a stance on politics. Specifically, though, we are able to take positions on initiatives, just as long as we don't take positions on political parties or actual politicians. So feel free to urge your meetings and attenders to vote no. All four of these initiatives would roll back good policy that Quaker Voice has worked on in the past and that align with our values as Quakers. And this year, we're doing a lot of work on getting these initiatives defeated. We are joining coalitions. We're constantly posting information at quakervoicewa.org, as well as we are reaching out to Quakers across the state to urge them to vote no. Ginny, would you like to get us started informing us about the first of our initiatives, Initiative 2066?
I'd be happy to do that, Jacob. We are in a severe climate crisis. The major cause? Burning fossil fuels. To transition to a clean energy future, we need effective public policy. Policymakers in our state have been working hard on this. Initiative 2066 would tie their hands. If it passes, homes in Washington could continue using gas forever. People in these buildings would continue breathing toxic gases that cause illnesses like childhood asthma. Methane is a far more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. As privileged people like me transition our homes off of gas, the energy bills for those who can't, like renters, go up because there are fewer users to pay for this outdated infrastructure to deliver gas. We must reduce gas in a way that leaves no one without essential services. That's what current legislation does. But if this initiative passes, that good work is gone. Here are examples of why I will vote no. This initiative would block home energy improvements. One way is by taking away important rebates for money-saving and efficient appliances. This initiative would derail our state's decarbonization legislation. You simply can't say that people have a right to burn gas for as long as they want and believe that our climate commitments won't be affected. Building codes for both homes and businesses have been updated, so new buildings will not be using gas. These changes will go away. Years ago, we decided that cigarette smokers did not have the right to smoke wherever they wanted because of the effects of secondhand smoke on others. Not eliminating secondhand pollution from gas not only harms humans, but other living beings and the climate. Please stop Initiative 2066 from passing. Vote no.
We are also urging you to do all you can to ensure that Initiative 2117 does not pass. Our lives and this earth that has been entrusted to us by divine love depend on the social action like the Climate Commitment Act. Initiative 2117 would repeal Washington State's 2021 Climate Commitment Act, which, by the way, has already inspired action in other states. So we need first to understand what the Climate Commitment Act does. Briefly, It requires oil refineries and other major greenhouse gas emitters to pay for pollution permits. It also requires them to reduce their emissions over time. Then the money that's generated from the sale of those permits allows our state to act in ways that counter that pollution. These funds are being used in really essential ways. For example, they improve the health of human communities, especially communities that are overburdened already. It does that by reducing toxic air and water pollution. It's a great benefit, by the way, to the tribes, and is helpful to salmon. It also helps the forests and reduces wildfires by supporting local conservation efforts and responding to wildfire threats. These funds give low-income and moderate-income families the ability to buy high-efficiency heating appliances and allow them to save money on their energy bills. The money that's generated pays for zero-emission school buses, important for our children's health, and clean public transit. It also provides no-cost public transit for young people. In this way, it addresses all kinds of public problems, including health problems like asthma. By developing clean energy projects, for example, solar and wind, the funds create good jobs across the state. Here you can see where maybe most of the existing projects are across the state. You'll have access to this PowerPoint later, so you can go to that URL and check out what's happening in your area. However, if 2117 passes, the money for all these projects would stop. It would also prohibit the state from setting up other carbon tax credit programs. Here are specific examples of programs that would have no funds. Therefore, I really urge you, vote no on Initiative 2117. Protect the Climate Commitment Act.
Now we're also asking you to keep the capital gains tax by voting no on Initiative 2109. Washington has a tax problem. We're home to some of the world's richest people, but our state constitution prohibits a progressive state income tax. So we rely a lot on sales taxes and real estate taxes to fund the things that we want to have happen from state government to make the state the kind of place we want to live. And because we use those kinds of taxes, we have one of the most upside down tax structures in the country. People at the bottom of our income distribution pay about 6 times as much of their income in taxes as the people in the top 1%. The capital gains tax was specifically designed to raise some public revenue from those very wealthy people at the top of the pyramid by charging a fee on the kinds of transactions they make. And it worked. The tax went into effect last year and fewer than 4,000 people had to pay it, but it raised nearly $1 billion. Don't worry though, this tax is not coming to get you. A lot of exemptions are built in specifically to make sure that the little people don't get hit. Your retirement accounts are exempt, your home sale is exempt, your small business sale is exempt. The charge is very effectively targeted to very wealthy people. In another slide, we'll see what it's spent on, which is on the children of the state of Washington. It provides support for childcare, for early childhood education, and for schools. And a lot of our schools really need these funds. All these are investments in our future. They create the kind of Washington we want to live in. So thank you, capital gains tax. We have one more for you. Finally, we want you to keep providing help for long-term care costs by voting no on Initiative 2124. There are 3.9 million workers in Washington who are paying a very small percentage of their pay into the state's long-term care fund. they will be eligible for $36,500 in support, or the equivalent of that in the future dollars, taking inflation into account, when they retire. The contributions are currently required. If the initiative is passed, they would be optional. And the projection is that the fund would very rapidly go bankrupt. The cost of that, taking that step, would fall in particular on working women, because guess who gets called in when elderly relatives need care? It's working women who get pulled out of their jobs. The support from the fund provides enough for some really important things to keep elderly people in their homes: home modifications, medical equipment, meal delivery, a home care aide, or even some temporary relief for those family caregivers as transitions happen. And keeping our elderly neighbors in their homes is something that's really important to all of us. We don't want to throw them back into the expensive private insurance market where there's premium jumps, and some will be denied because of pre-existing conditions. And a whole lot of these people just can't afford it anyhow. I'm sure we don't want that to happen. So in conclusion, I think you got our message. We want you to vote no on all of these ballot initiatives. They're really important for our Quaker values. You can see what we are doing from Quaker Voice by going to the Take Action tab on quakervoicewa.org, our website. And then what you can do is pass the word along to your family, to your friends, to your clubs, to any networks that you're part of, that voting no on these initiatives is a really good choice. And then when you get your ballot, you can vote no too. So thank you for joining us in that effort.